What's going on, guys? I'm coming at you with a bonus video today. Maybe not a bonus video, but an extra video, because we did something crazy. We did something really crazy. And when I say we, I mean me and my boy Thomas Heaton, came up with something crazy. And when we came up with this, we were like, that's crazy, but we'll probably never do it. And then somehow, the more we started thinking about it, the more we were like, that's crazy, but it just might work. And I don't know if you've ever seen this meme of a cat who's reading a newspaper with like a quizzitive expression on his face, and it says, I should buy a boat. Well, that's what Tom and I were like. We were sitting there somewhere in Patagonia, or maybe it was in the UK, I don't really remember, and we were just like, we should charter a boat. And this whole concept came from this idea that we wanted to do something different. We wanted to do something fun. We run photography workshops around the world. There's lots of photography conferences around the world. We wanted to try to meld the two things together, and we just couldn't figure out how we could do it in a fun way that wouldn't be boring, wouldn't be a normal conference, wouldn't be a normal workshop. And we came up with the idea of the Floating Photography Conference to Antarctica. So what Tom and I ended up doing is we teamed up with a company called Polar Latitudes that runs trips to Antarctica, and we've chartered an entire ship, an entire expedition ship with them, and we're gonna operate a photography conference / festival to Antarctica. And if that wasn't big enough, you know, me and Tom chartering a whole freaking ship and taking it to Antarctica. And as if that wasn't enough, Tom and I have asked 8 of the world's best photographers in the world to join us. And we kind of have a dream team of photographers that's gonna join us on this trip. It's gonna be unreal. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the trip, but this thing will sell out, I think, anyway. Will sell out quick. So if you're in a rush to go add your name to the list for this trip, there's a link in the description of this video for you to go check out. You should probably go do that quick. I'm going to talk about what this trip is a little bit more. And I'm going to first talk about kind of the itinerary and how it's going to go down. And then after that, I'm going to talk about the photographers. Because like I said, it's a dream team of photographers. I'm beyond honored that the people that have decided to join us have decided to join us. So basically, this is an Antarctic charter. But because we've worked with Polar Latitudes, who is awesome, we've managed to maintain the prices for like a regular trip. So if you were to go into Polar Latitudes websites right now, you'd find their prices to be basically the same as ours. In fact, I think ours might even be cheaper because there isn't like an early bird special if you book right away. And our trip is like half the price of the Nat Geo trip, which is crazy because on a Nat Geo trip, they might bring 1 photographer along, like 1 or 2 professional photographers. We're bringing 10. We think the value is definitely there. So basically what's gonna happen is November 29th, 2020, it's all starting. It's all going down. And people will fly into Ushuaia, Argentina. They'll get 2 nights at this really fancy hotel in Ushuaia. There we'll do probably some conferencey stuff, or if you want, you can just lazy around in the spa, or maybe there'll be some optional excursions going on. After those 2 days, on December 1st, we set sail. And we cross the Beagle Channel, which is beyond beautiful. And then we cross the Drake Passage, which can be a little bit wild. And we're sailing to the Antarctic Peninsula. On the journey down there, we're gonna do conference stuff. So normally on these trips, they have like a staff of marine biologists and geographers and stuff like that. We're still gonna have that, and they're still gonna do talks. But on top of their regular talks, we're also gonna have bigger talks from the photographers, whether they're about life or business or making a career as a photographer or photo editing. That's all gonna go down on the journey down to Antarctica. Then when we get to Antarctica, basically it'll operate like a regular Antarctica expedition / photography workshop. Every single time we go out to shore, people will be grouped off with a photographer. You'll get a different photographer every single time, or you should, so that you can learn something different every single time you go out. And it's not gonna be like, you know, hardcore education, here, watch what the professional photographer does. It's gonna be more casual, because if you're in Antarctica, you're gonna wanna make pictures, you're gonna want freedom, and you're gonna want to be able to capture those moments yourselves, not watch a pro do it. But the pros will be around to help you and guide you and maybe give you guys some inspiration. And since the trip is so early in the season, it's gonna be like pristine Antarctica. It's gonna be unreal. So I'm really excited for that. And then on the journey back from Antarctica, after spending, quite a few days exploring the peninsula, we'll go back and again, conference style-ish on the way back. I've kind of described it as conference-y on the way down and then like festival on the way back. So on the way down, you're gonna learn, you're gonna have sessions and things like that. And then on the way back, it'll be much more fun. It'll be like the mullet of photography conferences. It'll be conference on the front, festival on the back. And on the way back, we'll do things like photo viewings, like one-on-one sessions with the pros, and we'll probably just have some fun. It should be amazing, and I'm so excited for this trip. I think there's way more detail, obviously, in the information on the link in the description of this video, so check that out. Let me talk about the photographers. I wrote them all down because I don't want to forget anybody. Obviously, Thomas Heaton's there, my boy T Heat. I don't think I need to say anything about Tom. Tom's not only a great photographer, but he's just a really good dude and a great person to have around. So Tom's gonna be awesome on that trip. He's my partner in crime on this. He's the one that helped me get into this trouble. The second photographer, we convinced Morten Hilmer to come with us. And you might have seen Morten on the channel back in Greece, or you might watch his wildlife photography channel. He is world-renowned wildlife photographer. So big deal to get Morten Hilmer on there, like world class, and probably the funniest guy in history as well. People don't give him enough credit for his humor. Dude is funny. Erin Babnick. I'm so stoked that Erin Babnick is joining us. She is just a beyond brilliant landscape photographer from the States. She's a master of composition, and I think just an awesome person to have on board as well. Donald Boyd is coming. Donald Boyd is a conservationist and wildlife photographer. He's American as well, although I think he lives in Cape Town. He does a lot of stuff in places like Namibia, and yeah, he's just phenomenal. I'm also really excited that we have Rachel Talabart on, and forgive me if I pronounce anybody's names wrong, but Rachel is unbelievable. She's an absolute artist with the lens, and I'm so stoked to see what she creates in Antarctica. A lot of her work is based around the sea and wild weather and waves and things like that, and I think she's gonna have an absolute field day in Antarctica, so I can't wait. And of all the people that I wanna learn from or potentially learn from on this trip, I think she's probably number one. We also didn't want this trip to be like just a bunch of landscape photographers or just a bunch of nature photographers. We wanted to mix it up a little bit and bring a lot of different personalities and a lot of different styles. That way it gives you like the broadest opportunity to learn. So we invited a portrait photographer named Julia Trotti, and if you don't know her, check out her YouTube channel, it's phenomenal. She does mostly portraiture photography with like a bit of a travel angle every now and then as well. But she's absolutely brilliant, and she's got the greatest personality for this. She just has like an enthusiasm for photography that I think is going to be really contagious for participants. I'm also so excited about Sean Tucker joining us. A lot of you probably know Sean Tucker from his YouTube channel. He's a street travel portraiture photographer as well, and he's just got an eye of an artist. He's got the eye of an artist. And you know me, I don't have the eye of an artist. So again, like Rachel, I'm really excited to be able to shoot and hang out with Sean and just be able to pick his mind a little bit. I think that's just gonna be amazing. Sarah Hatton is also joining us. You might know Sarah from Instagram. I believe it's ISO_photography. Something like that. ISO. Anyway, Sarah is a brilliant landscape photographer from Australia. I first ran into Sarah actually in Patagonia 2 years ago, and I've been following her since. Her work is phenomenal. And finally, man, I should have asked Mike how to pronounce his last name. Mike Mazoul. Mike Mazoul II, if I pronounce that wrong, I'm sorry, bro. Mike's awesome as well. He's a landscape photographer, and he kind of focuses on wild weather and wild geography, does storm chasing in Texas, does volcanoes in Hawaii. I actually ran into one of his groups in the Lofoten Islands and met him, and I totally didn't even realize it was him until Jody, like a week ago, was like, "Oh, you met that guy before," and I was like, "Did I?" So yeah, I met Mike before. He's an awesome guy, and it's just gonna be such a wicked crew. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. So if you wanna come and join us in Antarctica, please do. This is like a once in a lifetime thing. We don't know if this is something we're ever gonna do again. We would like to, if it's if it works, but Yeah, there's no promises. So this is potentially a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it is definitely unique. We bought a boat. Well, we chartered it for like 2 weeks. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. There'll be a new video tomorrow without an announcement, and I'll see you there. Peace.